What is up, boys and girls? Today we are doing a, sorry, excuse me, it's bright. And I woke up about not too long ago. But today we are doing a 5 things I love and hate about my Neon SRT4. So let's get into it. We're going to be talking about the things that I love about my SRT4. So starting is that this car, the sunroof works. Now, a common issue with these cars is that the sunroof seals start to go bad and it leaks, it starts to rust, the module goes out and you can't do it anymore. Second, how aggressive the front end of this car is. So obviously you can see it right here. I've got the eyelids on it, which I put those on. But you have the hood scoop. You got the crosshairs, which I think look good painted black. I do not like when people cut them out. I think it is hideous. It's just very aggressive. It looks evil. It looks angry, and it looks like it wants to eat whatever's in front of it. So I always love that. I almost feel like it's intimidating to people when I'm coming up behind them and they just see it. Third thing, the sound system in this car. So this was an 04 and it came with the premium option of having the kicker package, which isn't typical. It's something that you had to do when you were buying the car from the dealership back when they were being produced. This car has the kicker package, and I still have the factory sub and amp in the back, which still works and it sounds good. It sounds amazing. And I added 6x9s. It's got 2 door speakers, which are decent, and then it has 2 kickers in the dash, which I don't ever recommend trying to replace those, or you will crack the dash. So unfortunately, that's just how it is with these cars. The sleeper status that I love about this car. So it's a 4-banger, right? It's got a turbo, whatever. It's front wheel drive. But people don't ever expect the spanking that this car brings. Now being, I don't know, it came with about like 230 from factory horsepower, which isn't bad, but then with some simple modifications, like let's say I have an intake, I have an exhaust, intercooler, wastegate, car's not even tuned, and I beat a 370 Nismo. I had a really good race with a 550i BMW. I was right at his door until I had to shift into my last gear, which you should never do, by the way. But people don't expect how preppy and quick this car actually is, but it has a lot of torque. And that's what makes this car so much fun. It's quick. It definitely does what you want it to. And I've always had smiles on my face when driving this car. Next up, the sounds that this car makes. I have to say that this is one of the most unnegotiable topics about this car that I love, and that this is one of the best sounding 4-cylinders ever created. Now, from the exhaust note being a nice low rumble, it's deep, it's not raspy, it sounds good, and it sounds good at higher RPMs, which is awesome. But something about this car is the wastegate opens up, so you get that whine. It makes every single turbo noise in the book. I mean literally every single turbo noise. I'll clip to that now. As you can see, literally, I mean, you have everything that you want sound-wise out of this car for a turbocharged car. And you can throw a cam in them, they'll have the lope. So many aftermarket options that you can do with this car that just absolutely tie this thing together. And that is the 5 things that I love about this car. Next, we are talking about the 5 things that I hate about this car. Now, first up, and if you've ever owned a Neon or you have friends that own Neons, or maybe you did the research on it, you know about the dash and the crayon smell, all right? Now, I don't necessarily hate the crayon smell, but what causes that is the underdash. And what I do hate about that is that the underdash comes apart in these plastic pieces and it just falls. So I almost want to say that it's never ending, because you can clean it and clean it and clean it, just get it all out of there, and you're still gonna drop underdash. Another con about the dash is that the top portion is made out of like a cheaper plastic, so it does crack, which is kind of unfortunate. I have 2 cracks on both sides of the dash, and it just doesn't really look good. My number 2 reason why I hate this car is going to be the safety. Now, this car is not the safest car, and if you know anything about these cars, they are very fragile from side impact. It doesn't take much to split these cars in half. Now, it's scary in a sense, because you're pretty much driving a car that will split in half. Let's just say you hit a pole or a tree and you hit it right there. I mean, the car has a tendency to split in half. Another thing is I believe it only has 2 airbags, meaning it's got the steering wheel airbag and the dash airbag. It doesn't have any others, which, I mean, you can take that as a pro or a con depending, but it's just, it wasn't created to be the safest car. Number 3, the transmission. Now, I think all of us can agree that the transmission on these cars is complete doo-doo. So the 3rd gear is a common issue with these cars. You have the synchros that go bad. Clutch is pretty common on every car, but it's something else that you gotta replace. Another thing about the transmission that I don't like is the little ball that you snap the pivot fork on. It's made out of some sort of like ABS plastic, and over time it gets there's a plastic ball that the pivot fork snaps onto. That's made out of plastic, so it gets fragile and brittle over age. So there are aftermarket options that you can replace it with, like a stainless steel ball, which I highly recommend doing if you ever are in that type of situation. But other than that, the transmission, it's a weaker trans. It's the weak point of this vehicle. The 3rd gear, once again, bad. Like this car, I don't have those issues with it, at least yet, but it does happen. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Number 4, the 4th thing that I hate about this car is the outdated basic interior. So with the interior, obviously, I don't have steering wheel controls, you don't have cruise control. It's just very bland, and there's no like anything special about the interior. It is very outdated. I mean, if you're a simple type of guy, then, you know, go ahead. But if you're used to driving newer cars, or let's say one of my previous cars was a Mazda Speed 3 hatchback, and the interior felt like heaven compared to this. Number 5, the 5th thing that I absolutely hate about this car is when you're driving this thing and you try to turn it, it's like turning a Boeing on a damn airstrip, all right? Forget about 3-point turns. You're making 5-point turns. Forget about going over bumps and not feeling it. Forget about riding smooth and comfortable. Now, while the seats in this car are amazing, this car rides super rough, and the turn radius is actual ass. The problem with this car is that you don't really have a great turn radius, so when you try to make tight turns, it is not going to happen, and you're going to have to put it in reverse. So you're going to want to make sure, you got to think up ahead, can I make this turn? So for the final part of this video, we're doing a Q&A about the YouTube channel. To start off, the first question is, why is it called a Neon when it doesn't have any neons? I believe that they called these cars the Neon because of the colors. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm going off of. Next question is, why don't you build the SRT4? I said the only way I'll ever build another front wheel drive car is if it's a Mazda Speed 3. And for some reason, this just, to me, isn't the platform that I want to build. Now, they can be nasty when they're built, and they're fun cars when they're built too, but to me, I just don't see it being worth it, considering the plan with this car was to never keep it. Next question, what's the plan with the SRT4? So, if you guys know me, you know that I had a Lancer Evolution that I put a whole bunch of money into, and I had it running for 3 days finally after just 7 months of ownership. And an old person here in the sweet town of Venice took off the front end of my car and totaled it. So after that, I was just done with the Evo platform and I needed a break. So for some reason, something inside of me was telling me maybe it's time to go get another SRT4. So I did, and honestly, this car's been an enjoyment to drive, and it's been an awesome daily. I mean, I have the AC, I have a working sunroof, I have music, it makes all the cool sounds, and it's not slow. So I've enjoyed this car, but the plan was to never keep this car. The reason why I bought this car was because in the moment, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money, but I wanted a driver's car. So I searched and I found a nice example of an SRT4. Next question is, what type of content do I plan to make? Now, obviously from how this is going, I plan on making car content for all my homies. Now, I would like to make some more content with this car, but unfortunately I do not think I'm going to have time. And you guys will understand why in a later video. I want to do modifications on cars. I want to help my friends out. I want to do stuff on my friends' cars. Maybe if I can throw some information, teach you guys how to do something, then that would be my goal. But overall, this is going to be a car-related channel, and I really hope that I can bring something to the table that everyone will enjoy. So that will be my goal as a content creator, and hopefully, because this is going to be your guys' jobs, so stay tuned in and enjoy the content. Well, that does it for this video. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, watching my videos, giving me comments, likes, subscribing. It means a lot to me, and it motivates me, honestly, to do more stuff, to be more entertaining for everybody. And I know that right now times are difficult for people, so my goal is to maybe provide some sort of outlet or happiness to my friends and new followers in the future. Now, if you don't already and you stumbled across this video on YouTube, you can follow me at Instagram, Jason_the, like as in THE, _overlord. I do a lot of stuff there. You'll just have to go check it out and see what I do. So anyways, that concludes of today's video, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!